Well, good morning, everybody. Pastor Steve here, and I hope you had a wonderful weekend. Also, pray you had a meaningful time worshiping Jesus Sunday. And I'm thankful you've joined me this morning for our devotion and our Bible reading plan. We are in the book of Acts, chapter 6. And this is when the early church in Jerusalem that was growing dramatically had its first bit of division, if you will, over the serving of food to the widows in the church. And the apostles had the church choose 7 men to oversee that, 7 very godly spiritual men. And they are not called deacons, but this is probably the event that kind of laid the groundwork for the later development of deacon ministry in churches, if you will. And one of those chosen was Stephen, and he's very bold and wise in his witnessing for Jesus. And some of the Jews became upset with him because they could not counteract his witness, his wisdom in talking about Jesus. And so in this chapter, in verse 10, it says, they were unable to cope with the wisdom and the spirit with which he was speaking. So what he was sharing was so true and so powerful that it overwhelmed any of their objections, their arguments against Christ being the Messiah. And what happened in verses 11 and following is they secretly induced men to say, we have heard him speak blasphemous words against Moses and against God. And they stirred up the people, the elders and the scribes, and they came up to Stephen, and dragged him away and brought him before the council, the Sanhedrin, the Jewish council, that kind of like their Supreme Court, if you will. And they put forward false witnesses who said, this man incessantly speaks against this holy place, the temple, and the law of Moses. For we have heard him say that this Nazarene, Jesus, will destroy this place and alter the customs which Moses handed down to us. Now, chapter 7 continues the story, and we'll look at that tomorrow, and he goes through this long recounting of Jewish history. So he wasn't guilty of what they were accusing him of. He was explaining from Scripture why Jesus is the Messiah. But what really grabbed me in the passage we read is they were so adamantly against him that they lied. And what I wrote at the top of my journal is the deadly results of lies and a mob mentality. We saw in verse 10 that they could not combat his wisdom. The truth is, there is no legitimate argument against the truth. And when people cannot argue legitimately against the truth, they resort to lies and mob mentality. And the way it works is, if you can get others to repeat the lie, if you repeat the lie often enough, loud enough, it becomes the new truth. And the mob mentality takes over. And that's what happened here and led them to, in the next chapter, kill Stephen. And as I was reading that, I thought about the world today, not just America, but the world. But it's especially true in America today. The truth doesn't matter, and let me just say, folks on the left and the right are both guilty, because if you take a lie, or you take something that is half true and half false, or a little bit true or a little bit false, and you repeat it enough and you shout it loud enough and with enough convictions, and you get enough people repeating after you, saying the same thing, the truth gets silenced. And the lie and the mob mentality take over. And as I've said recently in other devotions, that is killing America. And both sides are guilty, because the truth is easily sacrificed when what you care about more than anything else is winning. is power. And that led to Stephen being stoned, as we'll see tomorrow. You and I, as followers of Christ, Jesus is the truth, so we are about the truth, but we also need to be careful when we are sharing in conversation, in groups that we're a part of, on social media, whether it's Facebook or Twitter or anything else. We had better make certain that what we are sharing is actually 100% true, because if we don't, I don't care if it's 70% true and 30% false, we are propagating a lie. And God holds us accountable for the integrity of our words. They lied and they killed Stephen as a result. Don't be part of the mob, and value honesty above winning. I love verse 15 because it says, as they were staring, fixing their gaze on Stephen when they were hurling all these lies at him, he was sitting in the council. When they looked at him, they saw his face like the face of an angel. In other words, in the midst of the craziness and chaos of the moment, when they were telling all these vicious lies about him, he kept his heart pure and honest and devoted. And how do I know that? Because you can't look like an angel if you're a crook. He had the face of an angel because he kept his heart pure. And in our culture today, believers, followers of Jesus, need to be different. And if you care about the truth rather than the politics of the left or the right, you will be different. But here's the good news. Jesus' followers are different. That's the word for today. I'll see you tomorrow as we look at the execution of Stephen in chapter 7.